For over 45 years, Dr. Karen Midyet has focused on coaching adult career professionals and individuals transitioning as they consider retirement. There is so much more to her, but let's dig in so you'll see what I mean. Welcome, Dr. Karen Midyet.
Hello, I am so happy to be here.
I am so happy you are too. And I'd love to know, how do you define, because you work with a lot of people, especially people that are evolving, as I say, over a certain age, how do you define self care?
Well, I look at self-care in a number of different ways because I think there's so many parts to it. We look at emotional self-care, so it's how you nurture your emotional self. I look at physical self-care, which usually involves nutrition and how you take care of your body. I look at spiritual self-care, so looking at people's what brings them joy in life on a spiritual level. So it could be something like being in the mountains, because that makes your spiritual, that's the place where spirit kind of talks to you, or it could be more of a religion. And those are the things that I look at in addition to relationship self-care. So making sure you nurture the relationships in your life, your family, and maybe your significant other, and personal self-care. So for me, I look at, things that I do to help nourish myself so that I can keep working, like massage. And I do, things like EFT to work on personal growth. I mean, I am always looking at evolving myself. And so self-care is part of that.
I love the word you said, evolving, because aren't we all evolving? A
Mm-hmm.
3 year old ages, a 4 year old ages. My daughter is only 36 ages, but yet we are evolving. And I love that how you said that. And I just would love your feedback on this, because I recently heard about a woman going gray and how she looked at herself and how she kind of evolved in her own self care regarding letting her hair go gray, which can be a kind of a big decision. I know that you're talking about a lot of important things, but even something, a detail, I mean, like that made such a difference for her to how she viewed her beauty at a certain age. You find something like that you encounter?
I do. And people will, like some people are willing to look at their physical self and their environment, and they try to work on bettering it in some way. And it depends on what it is. For some people, it's letting things go, like their hair, because that's really not important to them. It's more important that they focus on their body, or being able to move. For other people, the gray thing is a hump they need to get over. Sometimes they do it. I think the pandemic really helped people move into that space much quicker than they might have, because people couldn't go get their hair colored, and so grayness became more natural. And so a lot of people have been able to shift and transition, and they do it slowly over time. So it is one of those things that's very personal. Some, it's not that important, and others, it is. Like for me, I see my self-image as a redhead. So giving up my redheadedness, that's who I've been all my life. I don't see myself doing that. So I don't know if I'll ever give up the red to gray. But for many people, they are beautiful with gray. Oh my God, I love it when people do it and do it well.
Yeah, and I love it when people say, as we evolve more times around the sun, whatever, that our inner wisdom is coming out. They aren't wrinkles, they're inner wisdom coming out to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find that true for the people that you serve?
I help them work on looking into what that inner wisdom is, because many times people don't know what that inner wisdom is. They need opportunity and time to really spend, to really look inside themselves and look at what is that inner wisdom? What have I learned over all those years? And one of the things that I look at with people, I have a whole YouTube I've done on it, is on looking at your legacy. What is your non-financial legacy? What are the things you want to leave with people that are important to you? And the lessons that you're leaving them with, and ideas and values. So that to me is an incredibly important thing to be able to really start either defining or writing about or really exploring.
And I love the way you just brought it up because, as you know, my little motto is live in the energy of your legacy now. How would you interpret that? I'm just kind of curious.
Well, I would say that the biggest challenge for people is to get out of their own way so that they don't just go and look at the mundane things that are part of their life and think about if they can do one or two things that are important to them a day, no matter what that is, so that they're more intentional in their thought about what's really important.
That is so beautifully said. I think you put it in words that I didn't always grasp, because I believe so much in that, because it's what are we modeling to our children? And I'm not saying to act, how to the basic courtesy, but a lifelong thing. What will they remember? And how can we, what does that mean? It means that I have to constantly look at me and maybe change my goals. Maybe my values are needing to be looked at. And what am I doing to live my life now? And what you're saying was really so spot on about, number one, that people they might not even know their own wisdom. And number two, you're saying take one or two things that, can open up those doors for you. And that can be something that can be kind of scary. Do you ever find people are like, no way, or it's a bit much, or, kind of saying that that's just too much out of my realm, or
well, yes. And so sometimes people, because they have self-limiting beliefs about what they can do or how they have to do it perfect, it doesn't mean that just because you're older that you give up some of those messages. So I did write a blog post on, about the beauty of aging and how I really don't give a damn. Because the reality is you have to be able to be a little bit light about it and realize that you don't have to have the judgment, not only the judgment from others, but also your own self-judgment about doing things perfectly. Because you can try things now, and really, who cares? I mean, the reality is you can, like, I'm learning to do yoga, and I'm struggling with it, but I'm getting better at it each time. And when you're learning something new, you always feel so uncomfortable in the beginning until it starts to feel like it's more natural for you. And I think as we age, there's no reason why we can't continue to begin to learn new things and try new things and be uncomfortable with new things until they feel better. Or until you decide, I really, really don't like that. I mean, I tried Pilates. My daughter loves Pilates. She wants to be a Pilates instructor. I just don't get Pilates. I like yoga. I like Tai Chi. But these are the things, as you get older, you can say, you know what, I'm going to try something. And if I like it, great. If I don't, I'll move on.
That is such a great attitude, because it's opening up ourselves. And that's what I'm hearing from you, that we're opening up ourselves and being at least willing to do that. And I have to kind of smiling because you were talking about yoga, and I love yoga. I've done it a long time. However, I've just started a workshop for people that are beginner drawers. And my fear of, I never was so great at art. What am I doing in this workshop? And all these things. And it comes up for me. And yet I know the thing that really helps me also, and I think that you're kind of hitting on, is that I'm not so unique. A lot, when we do something new, this is something new for me. And to actually put an artwork that I do out there and feel like that's okay, doesn't matter. it's a real big leap of confidence and faith, is what I think.
It is.
I didn't. And do you find that your clients, what do you see lately as their biggest challenge when they, especially like their I'm curious about their attitude as they go into retirement. Now, I like to call it retirement, but I know a lot of people don't.
People have different challenges. I would say that in the beginning, after people go through the honeymoon period, they struggle with how to spend their time because they oftentimes have a lot more time than they thought they would. And so many people really have to find things other than babysit themselves with the TV and figure out what it is that will give them purpose and joy and also excitement because sometimes people say they're bored. And that to me is a big challenge. And for some people, if they never had a chance to really do things outside of work, they never really learned. They didn't put themselves out there and they didn't have the opportunity to try new things. So their challenge is figuring out what they want and then how to do it. And some people are a little nervous about doing it on their own. And so for some people, if they don't have a good support system or friends that are with them, they may be challenged by that. The other thing that gets in the way for some people is their physical self and health. As you get older, the reality is your body doesn't always cooperate. And I deal with a lot of clients who have challenges in their health, and then they learn about either, it could be high blood pressure, or maybe they got diagnosed with Parkinson's, or maybe I had somebody who just was in the hospital last night, actually this weekend, and she had an arrhythmia, and it just, she had never had a problem like that before. So getting new information about your health and how to integrate and change your life and lifestyle as a result of sometimes new information is one of the things as we age happens. Some people sooner than others. Some, they can be in their 80s and they do just fine. So you never know your journey.
How true. And I'm hearing flexibility from you. I'm hearing a lot of flexibility and just looking. And one thing that I sometimes see in my friends that are retiring or thinking about it is the gap between, well, I was this and now I'm retired. I'm not professor this. I'm not, people don't ask me their opinions about certain things. And there's that gap because they're like, what am I now? Mm-hmm. And filling that with fear as opposed to, isn't it an exciting adventure? And I didn't know if that's something, please go on.
Yeah, no, that is, the identity issue is a big one. So, because that's really what you're talking about. Who am I now as I age and grow older? If I've left the work world, or at least the work world that I was in, what do I want to do in the future? Do I want to go back to work? Is that still something that's a part of me? Because some people do want to work. Some people do have to work. And some people say, I just don't know what's important to me because I spend so much time doing everything for everybody else, and I really haven't learned to take care of me. And now here I am, 70, 60, or even sometimes younger, 50, and now it's my time, and I'm not even sure what I want to do with my time. So exploring that journey is so much fun, but it is a little daunting.
I would think so. And especially without support, I think it can be kind of scary at times if we haven't done a lot of our own self-awareness work in the past. And I was wondering, do you see lately, or do you see people that, are kind of reaching for that old identity and kind of have a problem moving on, or is that something that really isn't not a big issue?
It depends. So for some people, it is an issue because their life and their work were all one. And so for them, moving on is a bigger challenge. But for other people, they couldn't wait to get out of the office. And so they figured it's my time. And so I'm willing to either work on some projects that I might want to do, or sometimes I have all these, people have things that they enjoy, like golf and tennis and going to plays and things like that. So I'll have more time to do it with energy, hopefully. So people are very individual in terms of where they are in this journey. And I think that's the challenge for people, because they see other people who are really clear and they are not. And that can give them a bit of angst.
And I wonder if sometimes people are not judging somebody else's outside by their inside. In other words, somebody who seems to quote unquote have it made, maybe they went down the same journey this person went down.
And that's very possible. It's very possible that they did. The other thing that is, because we have social media now, people put their public self out, which is very different from their private self.
Well, absolutely. At the same time, look at everything and look what gets the click. It's behind the scenes when you see them grocery shopping or having their hair done. I mean, it's this glimpse into a person's life, a behind the scenes life. And I often wonder if people don't think that that's what's real for this person, and maybe they need to be doing that. I don't know.
Well, if you think about, that's how a lot of times people are. They compare themselves to other people. And I think the important thing that we have to do is stop doing that. I think really looking at your own personal journey and what makes you feel good. You're trying not to please others, as women in particular. A lot of times we learned how to please others. That was part of what we kind of got groomed to do. And now all of a sudden we need to please ourselves and really take the time for ourselves to really explore and look and figure out, what is going to bring us happiness. And it is a process. It is not, you sit down with your journal and decide one day, this is what I'm going to do. That's why it is so much fun and exciting to be able to realize that this doesn't have to be decided today. It is an ongoing event that is something I stop maybe and reflect on, and then do some things, take some more time, reflect again, figure out what I've learned from it, things that I thought I liked or would like. Sometimes I don't. It's like, that was a good idea when I was 30, but now that I'm 65, I'm not sure I want that anymore. Or with my 80-year-olds, some of my really older adults say, you know what, I've been there, done that. I really don't need to do that anymore. And so then the biggest challenge is, and so if so, what's next?
Wow, what is next? And I'm hearing taking back your power in some ways, because you were saying that, sometimes we're so concerned about taking care of other people, and now the focus on ourselves is like, they're stuck. And isn't that part of owning back our power? Or
I
maybe
think that's,
no,
I love that. I love the idea of taking back your power. I think that's a perfect way of defining it, because a lot of times people don't feel they have that power, or they never utilize that power, or sometimes they're nervous about sticking their toe in to upset the apple cart where that power might be.
Yeah, and maybe even the word power scares them to some point. But when you were talking about that, I thought, isn't it wonderful, because you're helping people become who they can be, to open up to possibility, not probability.
Well, I have a little, well, my quote is, if not now, when? And one of the things that I have is, I have a little sign behind me, which you can't see, but it says, well, I'm not just retiring, I'm starting now, all over. And it is, and when I got that, it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm 72, almost 73, and I started 2 businesses in my 60s. So, I know about starting over and being able to do things as you age. And age is just a number. It really is it can be freedom, it can be opportunity, it can be excitement, and it can be a challenge because you're learning this world has a lot more technology. And even me, who is a techno wannabe, struggles with technology, but it's not like you can't ask for help. I think it's important as we get older to know, okay, I can't do everything, but I can ask for help with things that maybe I may have some trouble with. And so reaching out to others is important, both for friendships, but for education or support. And developing those support systems as we age, I really think is one of our biggest challenges, because when people get older, they lose a lot of people. I mean, it's a fact of life, that our community gets less in some ways. And so we have to continue to redevelop our connections. And I would say that our biggest challenge is feeling lonely, sometimes even lonely, even if you're around people. Feeling like you're understood and heard and supported is important. It's important throughout your life, but it's particularly important as you get older.
I love that you pointed that out, because I'm finding that in the women's circles that I'm putting together and the book studies, because it's all about connecting, validating, communicating, and knowing that we're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about that. And it's so wonderful when women can connect. Of course, my niche is more women, and women connecting to other women to feel that validation. Do you find that the groups that your clients get involved in or start whatever gives them like new life?
I think some of them for sure. I would say that sometimes people don't even know how people are there for them until they run into trouble. And so, like an example is one of my clients, again, went into the hospital, and she said to me, I had this person call and this person call and this person offer this. And it's like, when you realize you're not so alone, and if you've developed those and nurtured those relationships, that's the best of all worlds. Then you have some clients who have struggled with that, or maybe they moved to a new place and they don't have people around now or yet, and it's still on their radar of something to do, and so they're not used to having to go out and make friends anymore. I mean, when did we have to go out last time to make friends? I mean, a lot of times friendships happened either when we were working, so they kind of naturally evolved, or perhaps, they were related to our families and children, or cousins and things like that. So I think it is something we have to continue to work on in life, is developing relationships. Also, taking relationships that are not healthy for us and letting them go. So it works both ways, taking them on and letting go of the ones that are not healthy for us as well.
I love that. And I know our time is getting a little shorter, but I would really love to know, how do you define success today?
That's a hard one. Success for me, or successful aging?
However you want to interpret that.
So I would say successful aging is for people to be able to look at all the different parts of their life and have a plan for it. I mean, so that they have things that they can work on. And so, I look at helping people learn about and develop good nutritional programs, um, to work out if that is not something that they normally do, or to go to PT if they don't feel comfortable going to a gym, to get them to move and get educated about the why, because sometimes people just they're afraid to go into a gym because I need to get myself it fit before I go into the gym. I mean, people have all things that they say to themselves to make it so they don't do what they probably should do. And if they don't go to the gym, then I say go get physical therapy, because that's a way for you to still get support and some ideas on how else to move and to live in your environment safely, and to make it so less likely to have a fall. The other thing is to work on your relationship challenges, to work on your legacy, to figure out who I am now, and know that all these pieces continue to be something that you can work on for successfully aging, because you're going to be around for a long time. If you're in your 50s or 60s or 70s, our life expectancy could be another 30 years or more. And all of a sudden, we have an awful lot of time to fill. And so taking our leisurely time to work on these things, but to do it with guidance, is important, so that you don't feel like you have to just sit with a page and fill it up with something.
Speaking of guidance, will you please share with our audience how you can best help them?
Well, I am, since I'm a coach, I definitely have some areas that I would love to work with people on. So I have a course called Designing My Retirement, Preparing for the Next Chapter. And I'm going to be starting the founding members in mid-April. And it's going to look at roadmap for the next 1 to 2 years. We're going to focus on that, and then 3 to 5 years. And I want us to look at the meaning in life, finding your purpose now, and who you want to be when you grow up. What makes you happy? What's going to be able to give you the best quality of life, even if you get challenges? And I look at things like helping people in this course about where you want to live, what kind of place is it? Is it going to be your home? What is aging in place really all about? So I do a lot of education in the course around all those things, Medicare, any of those, self-care, all those things that we were talking about earlier. And it is, it's for 12 weeks. And if people are listening to this podcast and say the podcast or your name, I will give them 2 free individual coaching calls, and in addition to the course. So I'm really hoping to be able to have them help me define what's really important to them. I have my ideas on the things that I know are important for people, but I have so many things I can talk about that I want to make sure that I include that in the course. I have a 9-point process that I use individually with people, but this is going to be for a group.
This sounds so exciting. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we have to close?
I just want to tell them that it's important that you not do this alone. It is because being alone with your thoughts sometimes goes in the wrong direction, and you don't want to be stuck with that. I think it's important to learn the things that you've done that you do well, and work on the things that you want to challenge yourself with, and know that you can have a coach guide you or push you or help you or encourage you or do whatever, or sometimes kick you in the butt if you need it, to be able to move forward. And if you do go back, know that you still can get up on that bike and ride another day.
That is wonderful. And may we all get up on our bikes and ride another day. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Dr. Karen Midyet, for being with us and helping us all live in the energy of our legacy now on LifeMaven Podcast. And if you like our podcast, please go click and subscribe. I will have all sorts of wonderful information about Dr. Karen Midyet and how you can get in touch with her. Thank you for joining us.